July 18th, 1940, 4 a.m. A Japanese diplomat wakes up to screaming outside his window. He looks down and sees hundreds of families, children, elderly, mothers, all staring up at him. They aren't angry. They're terrified. And they have one plea: save us. He had 24 hours to decide if he would throw away his entire career to save people he'd never met. He said yes, and history buried him for it. His name was Chiune Sugihara. Born January 1st, 1900 in a small town in rural Japan. Sharp, disciplined, fluent in Russian. A career diplomat who spent his life following the rules, climbing the ranks of Japan's foreign ministry one careful step at a time. But there was something underneath all that obedience, a line he would not cross. Early in his career, Japan's brutal treatment of the Chinese people became too much for him to stomach. So he quit, walked away from a prestigious posting because he refused to be part of something he knew was wrong. Remember that, because it tells you everything about what happens next. To understand what Sugihara faced, you need to feel what Europe felt like in the summer of 1940. Hitler had already swallowed half the continent. Lithuania, briefly a safe haven, had just been seized by the Soviet Union. And thousands of Jewish refugees who had fled Nazi-occupied Poland were now completely trapped. Nazi Germany on one side, the Soviet Union on the other. No way west, no way east. No country willing to open its doors. One survivor described it like this: no one would pay any attention to us. No one wanted us. We were desperate, absolutely desperate. We didn't see any hope. We just were a people with no land, nobody to turn to. And then someone in that crowd whispered about a small house on the edge of the city, a Japanese consulate. Word spread fast. If you could get a Japanese transit visa, you could cross the Soviet Union by rail, pass through Japan, and reach safety. It was the last open door in Europe. And Chiune Sugihara was the only one holding the key. That morning, the one where he woke to screaming, Sugihara went to the window and saw the crowd below. Families, children gripping their parents' coats, people who had walked for days to get there, people who had nothing left except hope. He came downstairs. He listened. Then he went back inside and did what any good diplomat would do. He cabled Tokyo, asked for permission to issue the visas. Tokyo said no. He cabled again, DI no. A third time, no. 3 rejections. Direct orders. Japan was allied with Nazi Germany and did not want to cause tension. The rules were clear. The answer was clear. And Sugihara sat alone that night. His wife later said he barely slept, wrestling with the weight of what he was about to do. Then he picked up his pen. He began writing visas by hand, one by one, hour after hour, day after day, his wrist aching, his family watching, his entire career, everything he had worked for, on the line. He didn't write a few. He wrote hundreds, then thousands, defying his government with every single signature. When the Soviet regime forced the consulate to close, Sugihara had to leave. He kept writing visas in his hotel room, right up to the final hour. At the train station, survivors say he leaned out of the window, still signing documents, as the train began to pull away. He called out to the crowd left behind, "Please forgive me. I cannot write any more. I wish you the best." And then the train was gone. 1 year later, Nazi Germany invaded Lithuania. The killing began immediately. The Jews who hadn't escaped were murdered. The people Sugihara saved got out just in time. When Sugihara returned to Japan after the war, he wasn't greeted as a hero. He was fired, dismissed from the foreign service for insubordination. The career he had built his entire life, gone. For decades he worked odd jobs, lived quietly. The world had no idea what he had done. Meanwhile, the people he saved were rebuilding their lives, having children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Today, an estimated 40,000 people are alive because of the visas Chiune Sugihara wrote by hand in the summer of 1940. Some estimates say the number is closer to 100,000, and for most of his life, he had no idea. Then, in 1968, nearly 3 decades later, a phone call came in from the Israeli embassy in Tokyo. A man named Joshua Nishri was looking for Sugihara. He pulled out a yellowed piece of paper, a transit visa, signed in 1940. That visa had saved his life. Sugihara stood there, an old man now, and finally understood the full weight of what he had done. In 1985, Israel declared him righteous among the nations, one of the highest honors given to non-Jews who risked their lives to save Jewish people during the Holocaust. He died 1 year later, in 1986, quietly, in a small town in Japan. When asked, in his final years, why he did it, why he threw everything away for strangers, his answer was 4 words. They were human beings. No statues were built for him while he lived. No parades, no headlines. Just a man, a pin, and a conscience that refused to be silenced. History forgot Chiune Sugihara for 50 years. We're not going to let that happen again. If this story moved you, subscribe. Every single week we bring back the names history tried to erase. And tell me in the comments, whose forgotten story should we uncover next?